What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk to you guys about something that is going to be slightly controversial, but it's a massive problem that is plaguing TBC Anniversary. And I know from my comments, from reading around on the forums and on Reddit, that a lot of you are having this issue. And it's something that I think we can really dig a little bit deeper and figure out the main root cause of why this is happening. And what I want to talk to you guys about is the roster boss, right? There's a lot of guilds out there where they are struggling to find 25 raiders every single week. Now, this can equate to a bunch of different reasons. Right now, we're in the third time of TBC, so maybe people just aren't as interested, which is probably a major reason. People know that this is kind of temporary. We're either moving into Wrath. Everyone is basically just waiting for Classic Plus. That's another reason. But one of the main reasons, one of the reasons for me why I'm struggling with this is the consumable prices. Now, the prices of consumables in the Burning Crusade Anniversary, and even in Anniversary before we moved into the Burning Crusade, I've been playing since the beginning of regular Anniversary, Vanilla Anniversary, the consumables have gotten to a point where they are out of control. Now, for anyone who's going to comment down below, you don't need consumables to do these raids or whatever, completely understand. Yes, that's very possible, but some of us don't want to spend 5 hours in Serpent Shrine Cavern. So most guilds run consumables, and most good guilds are going to require you to be running consumables. So that, like, we're going to take that argument completely off the table. Most people do not want to raid without consumables. It feels bad compared to playing your class with consumes and without consumes. You are just doing like half the amount of DPS or whatever. It's not as fun. So the argument of you don't need to run consumables, I completely get you and I understand that. But most players play Classic WoW and run the proper consumes when they are raiding. PvE gamers, this is what they do. So I get it. If that's what you're going to say down below, go ahead and say it. But that is, like, this video is not for you. This is for the people who actually, like, the majority of people, how the majority of people raid. My issue with these consumables is that they've gotten out of control to a point where if you are a melee DPS running flame caps, sharpening stones, haste potions, relentless assault flasks, all the good stuff, you're spending like 250 to 400 gold per raid. Okay. Now, and here's the other problem. That means that while these consumables are running, while you have your elixirs or your flasks popped, everyone's kind of on edge because you want to clear the content fast because you don't want to break that mark and have to pop another flask in the same raid. So it creates this weird tension. Now, this wouldn't be an issue if consumables were a lot cheaper, but the problem is they aren't, and they are very, very expensive. One reason that I think that this is a thing as well is that we are on mega servers now, right? There's hundreds of thousands of people on these servers. So when there's more people, that means there's also more bots. That means the economy's a little bit more messed up. And since the beginning of Anniversary, you know, we've had GDKPs banned. This is not a full video on GDKPs, but I do want to bring up a good point here is that GDKPs have been banned since day one, and Anniversary has proceeded to have the worst economy in any version of Classic WoW to date. I have played every version of Classic from 2019 to present. Anniversary has had the most unstable and messed up economy. Now, I'm not going to blame it on GDKPs being banned fully. You guys know that I do support GDKPs. I think they were a fun way to play the game. However, I do support the GDK ban in a few different scenarios. If GDKP raids were banned and also boosting, summons, all of that good stuff was also banned along with it, I don't think I would see any issue with banning GDKP, right? If we just kind of really fixed what was the actual problem here, and the problem is that there's so many like reasons for people to RMT in WoW that banning just GDKP by itself does absolutely nothing. So in the state of the game where we're at right now, where people are boosting their characters, which is going to be roughly 3,000 to 5,000 gold to go from 60 to 70, and the amount of people selling boosts indicates that there's a lot of people buying boosts. So there's people doing that. There's people hard resing every big item in every raid. So good luck getting your big items. It's very hard to find a raid where DST is not hard res, where the nether vortexes are not hard res now. So good luck finding that stuff. And then on top of that, aside from the boosting, the buying summons, all that stuff that's been going on throughout all of Anniversary with GDKPs being banned, you have people pre-selling items in raids. And that is what I want to talk about most today. I want to pull up a post from Reddit that's pure example of what I'm talking about. I have it set up here. So, is pre-selling loot bannable? We've seen clearly that it is actually not, because people do it all the time. Whether Blizzard says it is or not, I don't really know. It's very vague the way that they worded everything, but people are doing this, right? SSCTK full run, 2SR MSOS, Ashes is hard res, so the mount is hard res, and Nether Vortexes are up for grabs 1K each. So people are selling Nether Vortexes for 1K each. And if you read through these comments, we're not going to read through all of them, but we'll read through a few. It says, for some reason, that's allowed so long as it's not bidding and only the raid leader is getting the gold. If they're not distributing gold to the rest of the raiders who helped get the loot, it's fine. It's how the rich had hundreds of thousands of gold coming into TBC just selling raid loot. This is worse than allowing GDKP. It is worse. Anniversary has the worst economy of any version of WoW, and it's the one where GDKP has been banned since day one. Kind of obvious to see the connection, but people get personally offended when anyone brings up the benefits of GDKP for some reason. Anyway, this entire comment feed on this post is nothing but talking about how this is so much worse than GDKPs. And I got to admit, it actually is. Hard resing items is insane. Pre-selling items is insane. Allowing boosting your character from 60 to 70 with 5,000 gold is insane. People spending $50 a week, 50 real dollars per week to buy gold, to buy consumes, to raid is insane. All of this is insane, and it doesn't make any sense, right? If we ban GDKPs to fix the economy and force guild raiding, all we did now was create a problem in which, okay, now every single guild, which we're forcing guild raiding, can't hold 25 raid members, because if one person gets near BIS, they just quit. Because why are they going to spend 400 gold to come to raid when they really don't have much gear left to get? And they're not earning anything out of it. So normally those people would switch to an alt or raid on their alt on GDKPs to farm gold to fund their consumes for their main raid. Now, let me paint you guys another picture here, okay? One thing that is very important to note here is that I'm not going to sit here and say that GDKP did not enable some form of RMT. It of course did, but so does boosting, so does the summoning mafia, and that's in every version of Classic, and so does 10x overpriced consumes. So most of those things are all still in the game today. 90% of those things that I just mentioned are in the game today. So the RMT is still there, and I'd actually argue that there's more RMT going on in Anniversary than ever before in Classic. And the reason for that is one thing, right? So people are going to RMT regardless at this point, we've learned. Right? If we're not banning, the gold selling websites and the bots that are farming the gold, what's really happening here is, let's say we're going to call our friend Timmy. Okay. You know what? Maybe I'll draw you guys a picture. All right. So we're going to draw a picture, right? We're just going to, I want a pen. Boom. This is Timmy. Okay. Timmy. So Timmy is a gold buyer. He's a typical Classic player. He loves to buy gold. He gets his consumes. He boosts all the way to level 60 or level 70, and he loves to raid. This is Timmy, okay? So Timmy now walked into TBC. He's in the Burning Crusade. Timmy wants to raid, right? But GDKPs are banned, okay? So what does Timmy do? He goes into TBC. Timmy buys gold, okay? So Timmy has now bought a ton of gold. Timmy has a bunch of gold in his pocket. He's ready to raid. He starts raiding. So Timmy is now raiding. So Timmy moved into the Burning Crusade. Timmy bought gold, and Timmy is now raiding. Now, what happens is, Timmy, normally in any other version of WoW, would be using this gold to buy his consumes or whatever. He raids for a few weeks. And then what happens is, after he gets full BIS, Timmy would then go and do GDKPs. Now, why does Timmy do GDKPs? Well, because Timmy wants to play Timmy's alt, right? So this is going to be a Timmy alt. Right here. That's Timmy's alt, okay? So Timmy's alt is now going to do raiding with his guild. He's gearing out his new alt in his guild, or vice versa. Maybe he's doing GDKPs on his alt. When he's raiding, these GDKPs fund consumes on his main character, on his alt, whatever it may be. Okay, so he's actually playing the game farming gold now. He bought gold once, but he did GDKPs, and now he's able to fund his consumes. Now let's take this entire scenario, and we're going to copy it. Okay, We're going to paste it down here. And I'm going to show you what happens when you get rid of GDKPs here. So we're going to get rid of this whole section. Okay? That's all gone. So now Timmy went to TBC. Timmy bought gold. Timmy starts raiding. Consumes are very expensive. So what does Timmy do here? Buys gold. Again. Okay? What does that do? That in turn bots profit. Okay, bots are profiting because he's buying gold again. So now what does he do? He keeps raiding. He's raiding. No big deal. Oh, we're on week 3. What does Timmy need? He needs more gold, right? He doesn't farm gold. He works a full-time job. He doesn't have time to farm gold. So he buys gold. So he raided again. Now we're entering week 3. What does Timmy do? Buys more gold. Because really, at the end of the day, all that's happening is he's losing gold. So let's just add something else into the equation. Now Timmy's raiding and he gets gear. Whoa, well, that's pretty expensive because now gems, enchants, boom. Up, raid next week, buys more gold. Okay? And then what happens after that? Then he goes to raid next week. It's a never-ending cycle, is what I'm trying to show you guys. Whereas this cycle up here, right, where Timmy bought gold once in the beginning, he started raiding, he got one character full bis, he started doing GDKPs, he was then able to fund raiding on his alt or fund his own consumes on another character, whatever it may be. This also incentivizes playing alternate characters, playing multiple alts. There's a reason why most people are playing one character in TBC, and there's a reason why your guild is struggling to fill your 25-man roster, and you're losing, you know, the turnover is like 1 to 3 players a week on average. In my guild, at least, that's what I've seen since week 1. And the reason for this is because this is how it's being played. Now, all of this would be okay. It would be completely fine if there were no GDKPs, if we had boosting banned, if we had hard resing items banned, if we had pre-selling loot banned, summoning banned, all of the things that enable people, give people a reason to RMT in the game need to be banned for the GDKP ban to make sense. Okay? It really does. If we're not going to ban all of these other things, then we might as well just lift the GDKP ban, because all that's happening now is it's hurting more than it's helping. If Blizzard were to lift the GDKP ban tomorrow, give it about 30 to 60 days and watch how quickly the economy balances out. Because now instead of the raid leader, this guy, that's selling nether vortexes for 1k gold each, instead of him just making all that money, everyone in that raid typically would turn into a GDKP raid where people would bid on those vortexes or bid on all the items in there. Everyone would get paid out and it would kind of balance out the economy. Right? Because there's no reason in banning GDKPs when boosting and all the other stuff is still in the game. People are still RMTing. So what are we really doing? All we really did was take away a form of raiding. That was a way of sharing the wealth amongst the players. So we're creating a much wider gap with where we're at right now. Right now you have the casual player. Let's just say that. Casual, normal, and sweaty. Okay? So all we did was widen this gap between the casual and the sweaty player. The sweaty player gets richer, and the casual player can't afford consumes. So what happens is, this is so hard to write with my mouse. Casual player can't afford consumes, so he joins bad raids. Okay, he joins really bad raids, and then he quits. And what happens to this guy? He sells items, gets richer. The normal player suffers because of all of this. Okay? And if you are a normal player, someone who does like to, you know, farm your own gold and farm your own consumes, you need to put in 10x the amount of time as other people who are buying the gold. So it's not fair to you right off the rip. You can either choose to go with the sweaties and farm these raid leaders a ton of money and let them pre-sell items and force you to use full consumes, but that's the only way you're going to clear the content. You can't clear the content with the casuals because they can't afford consumes, which they go into bad raids and they end up quitting the game in 2 weeks anyways, right? So that guy who just randomly won that DST because it wasn't hard res, he quit the game anyway and he doesn't give a shit. So the problem is that's why hard resing is a thing. All of this is interconnected. People hard res the items because you don't want it to go to a player who's going to quit in a week or a player who's not consuming. You want it to stay in your guild and go to the top performers because it's a massive item. But the problem is that then makes the casual players quit the game. So what's happening here is the GDKP ban, but leaving all this other stuff in the game, actually is causing way more issues than people realize. It's not about ban GDKP, don't ban GDKP. Like I said, this entire video is to kind of uncover what the root cause of this issue is that in a way, Blizzard made a step in the right direction trying to ban GDKPs, but they didn't take it as far as it needed to go. For the GDKP ban to make sense, they also needed to ban boosting, summoning, all of the other things that encourage RMT, right? You got to remember we're on mega servers, so the economy is way, way bigger at this point in time. Clearly, with the amount of people buying the consumes at the high prices and the people buying boosts and all that, everyone is still buying gold. So what did we really accomplish here aside from taking out the middleman? The normal raider can no longer decide, you know what, I can keep playing WoW as long as I have an alt and run GDKPs on it once a week to farm gold for my consumes for my main raid. That player can no longer do that. They need to either quit their real life job, lose their house and their family, move into an apartment, you know, 1 bedroom or a studio apartment to farm gold to be able to raid in WoW, or they buy gold to raid with the sweaty raiders and pop full consumes and have a good experience. The casual player just quits the game because they can't even compete at all. And I'm talking about endgame PvE, by the way. I'm not talking about casual players who just like leveling characters. That's a totally different type of player. I'm talking about casual endgame raiders. And that this is just a major problem. It's something that never is going to get better, right? It actually, if they lifted the GDKP ban tomorrow, you'd see the economy balance out. Like I said before, everything would actually get fixed. However, on the other foot, if they tomorrow decided to ban pre-selling items, ban mage boosting, and ban all of these other things in the game that encourage RMT, I think the economy would actually start to balance out as well. So they got to choose which way they want to go. Do they want to fully police how everyone plays the game? Or do they want to just let people play how they did before and let the economy balance itself out? There's 2 different routes that Blizzard could go. And Blizzard, if you're seeing this video, I highly encourage you to at least look into this. It's a major problem, and I'm someone who loves raiding. And last Burning Crusade, I raided on 7 characters a week. I raided 6 nights a week. I was having the time of my life. This Burning Crusade, while I'm enjoying myself raiding with my guild, I don't see a point in me raiding on more than 1 character. It's just way too expensive, consumables wise. You know, if I was able to throw 3 of my alts and GDKPs on other nights of the week outside of my guild raid and fund my consumes for my main raid, I would have no problem. But the way it stands right now, I can't do that. If everything else was banned and consumables were cheaper and GDKPs were still banned and I could afford consumables to raid on more than 1 character, I would do that. But I don't have 20 plus hours a week to farm gold outside of raid night, right? I'm not going to farm for 20 plus hours to raid for 3 or 4 hours a week. It just doesn't make sense. And to be completely honest, I'm going to just say what everyone probably wants to say and doesn't say it. It's not fun. Nobody wants to actually do it. So the problem is that is why guilds are having such a high turnover this TBC. That is why consumables are so incredibly expensive. Nobody wants to talk about this because it's a touchy subject. Every time you bring up the word GDKP, everyone in your comments has a conniption and freaks out. But the reality of the situation is this. I'm not mega pro GDKP and I won't play the game without it. I'm obviously enjoying the game without it, but I am going to be someone who sits here and realizes the issues that have come by banning GDKP and not banning the other things. If we're going to ban GDKPs, we need to ban boosting and all of the other stuff that encourages RMT as well. I'm on board with that. I'm completely fine with that. But if we're not going to touch that other stuff, that stuff is way bigger of a problem than GDKPs ever were. Hard resing all the good items so casual and normal players can't get them is a problem. Selling nether vortexes for 1k each, where your raid leader makes 10,000 gold at the end of the raid and everyone else spends 600 gold on consumes to clear that raid, that's a problem. All of these things are a problem. And they can be very easily fixed by either going fully one way and banning GDKP and all the RMT aspects of the game, or just lifting the GDKP ban and letting the community sort it out themselves, and the economy will balance out. There's two options here, and then those are them. And really, the only reason I made this video is because I am very passionate about the game. I love the game, and I want to see the game thrive. And seeing the economy in all of Anniversary so far is very, very alarming to me. It's been horrible since day one. Even raiding in vanilla, you know, I started raiding in the BWL phase of vanilla Anniversary. I spent the first half of it, I was doing like OnlyFans and other stuff. But other than that, it's been bad since day one. I am very passionate about the game. I want to see the game thrive. And this whole thing to me that's going on in Anniversary is very alarming if we are going to get Classic Plus next. I really hope Blizzard chooses at least one direction or the other for Classic Plus, and not this weird mix where like GDKPs are banned, but every other form of RMT in the game is allowed. I think that it either all needs to be banned or none of it needs to be banned, and that is the way to a healthier economy in the game. But I'm not going to rant on for much longer. This has been a way longer video than I wanted it to be. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you dealing with the guild turnover issues? Are you having people quit? Are you quitting because you can't afford consumes? Are you having a good time? Like I said, I'm still enjoying myself raiding with my guild, but I have to talk about these consumable prices. And it all stems from this one thing. That is the issue. These consumable prices are not normal. On Night Slayer last week, we were paying 190 gold for a Relentless Assault flask on Wednesday, which is just insane. I went into TBC with 3 alchemists thinking I was going to make gold. Every single craft is a negative profit. I just dropped alchemy the other day on my warrior because I sat there and was like, okay, I'm going to do a 10 craft. I crafted 10 Relentless Assault flasks, didn't get a single proc, so essentially I lost 190 gold by crafting my own flasks. It makes no sense. We need to start making sense of this stuff and talk about it and bring it to light so that when we do eventually get Classic Plus, it doesn't have these issues and it's not plagued by these issues. But again, comment down below. Let me know how you guys are feeling about the economy in Anniversary. I think it's a major problem and I do think it needs to be fixed. Guys, follow me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/hammerdance. We stream Monday through Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We've been having a lot of fun over there. We stream all of our raids. We level on hardcore on off days where we're not raiding. We're having a really, really good time. And subscribe to the channel if you guys love Classic WoW just as much as me. And anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening in. I'll see you all in the next one.